Welcome back to X-Pac 12360, everyone. Joining us right now over the phone, he's the Evolve champion, and he's, in my opinion, the hottest free agent on the market in professional wrestling right now. Matt Riddle, everyone.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Super King
Thanks
of
for
Bros.
having me, bro. It's been a while, and, it's always a pleasure to be talking to you, Sean.
Yeah,
I enjoy
man.
your company.
Thank you. And it's been a little bit too long because I keep, whenever you're out here in LA, I keep, I work too, so and we're not on the same shows very often. Shit.
No, it's been tough. It's been tough, but whenever I do see you, it's always a pleasure, bro.
I thank you very much. Hey, I caught you I caught you on MLW working with Shane Strickland. Good shit. That was good stuff, man.
Yeah, me and Shane have extremely good chemistry. We wrestled the first time, I believe, in Chicago. Then we wrestled for Defy in Seattle, Washington, and then we've worked multiple times in Evolve. I'm actually wrestling him, I think, August 4th, I believe,
nice.
at the ECW Arena in Philly. But I've been wrestling Shane Strickland a lot. He's great, and we work extremely well together.
So you're not wrestling PCO in Philly coming up?
Oh, I'm wrestling PCO in New York City,
okay.
August 17th
wow.
at Joey Janela's Lost in New York.
I'm looking forward to that, Matt. I don't know if you've seen Pierre or Carl. I don't know what he calls, I don't know what the boys call him.
I have.
Yeah, but he's looking good, right?
Match when he came back and he wrestled Walter at Joey Janela's Spring Break.
Oh, wow.
And I walked in the back and he was there, doused in sweat. I just beat up James Ellsworth. I had a great night.
Nice.
And I see PCO and his chest is black. It's purple black from Walter belting him with chops. And I was like, great match. And he looked me dead in the face. He goes, "You're next. We're doing it next." And I was like, all right, bro, I'll see you down the road.
Yeah.
And now we're booked. And I know he's all juicy. He's been cutting the promos and electrocuting himself with a car battery. The guy's insane, but it's magic.
No, it is. Yeah, it is for sure. Hey, speaking of Walter, not to go off into talking about other people, but Steve Austin called me the other night, and he was like, "Yeah, he was mentioning a couple guys, and he's like, who's this Walter guy?" So, he's how's it working with Walter? You work with him. I've seen you work with him.
Dude, I've wrestled Walter in Germany, England, Canada, America. I've wrestled Walter all around the world. Walter's amazing. For guys like me and Walter, we like to make wrestling as real as possible. Yeah. And it shows. It translates. Like I said, PCO's chest is black. Walter's made me bleed from chops. I've made him bleed from chops. We get extremely physical in the ring.
Do you consider him a bully in the ring?
Not at all. He does what he's supposed to do. He's 6'3" and 300 pounds. He needs to bully people. If he doesn't, nobody would respect him. He needs to do what he does.
I've heard you use that. I've heard you use that term describing other people before, like Chris Hero or guys like that, and I found it amusing that you use that expression.
Chris Hero is definitely more of a bully in the ring because Chris Hero will bully you, let you fight back, and then cut you back up. Walter's more of a big guy versus little guy, and he's extremely physical. Right. So not so much of a bully, but he still bullies you slightly. Chris Hero is probably the ultimate bully, though.
Hey, Matt. Hey, have you run into any problems in the ring with anyone that tried to test you, or just was reckless in there, and you had to kind of settle them down, or even get a receipt or anything like that?
I get really lucky. I don't know if it's my background in the UFC or even the knockout I've had in the past and stuff like that. Right. But I've been extremely fortunate, and I'll be honest, I'm pretty generous. If somebody hits me hard, I'm usually people say sorry if they do snug you, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that." I'm like, "You're good, bro." Because we're in there, we're working, we're trying to keep it as physical as possible, and accidents happen. Now, if somebody were to hit me twice hard, I would probably have a problem, and I would get mine. But most people, if anything's ever happened in a ring, it's one slip of Dave Starr's cut my eye, Chuck O'Neill's cut my eye.
Yeah.
Like, I've been split open I've been split open more in pro wrestling than I was in the UFC.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me, actually, because, you know, a lot of people go, oh, you know, when you say that wrestling's harder on you than MMA, a lot of people roll their eyes. But, I mean, I just don't think they understand, you know?
Well, I don't think they understand the travel. I don't think they understand the consistency of the product. Like the fact that, you know, when you fight, you train, of course, and that's all the time.
Yeah.
But you could have a bad practice or whatever. In wrestling, you have to be consistent. You have to have good matches consistently. And you have to be physical with your opponent consistently. Yeah. Because if you lack in one match and then you put up for another match, people see that and they're like, oh, and they know when you're lazy. I pride myself in not being lazy. I like to give 100% every time I'm out there, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I see that, man. And I remember early on, like, you were doing, like, what's that goddamn, the
Pele kick?
No, off the top rope, the swanton?
The Broton.
The Broton, yeah. Sorry, and I'm like, damn. And I think I might even
you're
get you
probably
up.
thinking swanton, but no, that's a Broton,
yeah,
man.
Exactly. It's a Broton. And I remember hitting you up going, man, you might not want to get people used to seeing you do that every night. Did you adjust at all?
And I agreed with you 100%. I'm like, you're absolutely right. I only break that out for special occasions. And even now, I don't think I've gone off the top rope in a month or so, or 2 months. Like, I really try to stay away from the top rope if I can, unless I'm in a bigger, you know, build-up kind of match. Like, say if I'm wrestling Shane, we might end up on the top ropes because we've wrestled so many times. We got to up the ante more and more.
Yeah, but how does that work for you, Matt, when you're doing like stuff going in the top and all that? Because you've developed this style for yourself where, you know, you don't do traditional high spots. There ain't no freaking tackle drop down leapfrog spots coming out of Matt Riddle. So, like, how does a Matt Riddle end up on the top rope with Shane Strickland?
You know, there's a lot of ways. It could be as simple as maybe he kicks out of a big fall see and I beat him up and he just won't stop kicking out, and I'm like, well, I guess I have to go up to the top. You know, or it could be as simple as Shane goes up to the top because he's a flyer, and I cut him off, and I go up to the top with him to do something. Yeah. You know, you know how it is. There's a million ways to get to any situation. You just got to think about it.
You know what? Like, not to, like, I mean, you know how I am with going off into the weeds here, but it just made me think, oh shit! I just lost my train of thought. Damn it.
That'll happen.
Oh, I know what it was.
Both, bro. That'll happen.
No
That'll
shit, right? Hey, Matt, here's what I was going to say. I have a pet peeve, and some guys do this, and it's just fine for them, but I never like to set a guy up on the top rope and then knock him back off or suplex him back off. I always like for them to kind of make their way up there themselves, usually, and then stop them. Else it just looks forced.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
That wasn't even a question. You know? Sorry.
No. I agree. I personally, I hate when like people ask me to sit them up there and stuff. Yeah. But at the end of the day, sometimes you do end up in those situations. You do. You know.
Yep. So for sure.
Like me, I hate Irish whipping people, but you know, or getting Irish whipped. It's not a realistic move to me. I don't see anybody grabbing my hand and throwing me 20 feet across the ring and I run back. Mm-hmm. I don't see that happening in my life.
That reminds
me.
The
other day, dude's putting heat on me, grabs my wrist, he goes, hard buckle. And I'm like, I couldn't even grab the roper to stop him. Like, I had to run and, like, I guess I'll take a hard buckle, you know?
Right. So, it's easy for your opponent to say. Like, you take the freaking hard turnbuckle and see how it feels.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's whatever. He wanted to put some heat on me. I'll take a hard buckle. I'm getting paid.
Hey, Matt, so speaking of the Irish whip thing, like, I remember watching this one clip, it might have been a few years back. Yeah, it probably was now. The guy goes to shoot you in for an Irish whip, and you just start, and then you just kind of gradually just walk across the ring and start laughing at him.
Yes, that was back when Drew Gulak was before he signed with WWE.
Drew Gulak.
And I was working with Drew Gulak.
Yeah.
And we didn't call a thing. And the thing is, we didn't call anything, and he just went to whip me up the ropes. So I didn't know what he was going to call anyway. So I was like, I'm not going to run because I don't know what he's going to do to me. So I just started walking. I turned around and laughed at him. And the crowd went, they erupted.
Yeah, they did. And I erupted when I saw it. I'm not going to lie. So
I'm glad.
Hey,
That's what it's for.
So I was visiting SmackDown tapings, and I had and so I had Drew on the show, and we were talking about you, right?
Yeah, Catch Point.
Yeah, it was good, man.
Catch Point. Honestly, the original Catch Point, me, Drew Gulak, T.J. Perkins, and Tracy Williams. Probably one of the greatest factions. We could have competed with the Bullet Club, I think. But, WWE started taking us away. Maybe one day we can reunite in the WWE.
Maybe. And it's funny you say that, Matt, because I was just going to ask you. I'm sure you're not surprised by my line of questioning here. What's going on with your free agent status? WWE, New Japan, ROH. It's got to be a great position for you right now.
I'm in a really good position right now. I work with Evolve on a regular basis, and they have a great relationship with WWE, and they also have, they have relationships with other companies as well, because Zack Sabre worked with us, New Japan, all that. And I've been fortunate enough to travel the world and wrestle with guys from New Japan, Ring of Honor, and, especially with Progress and still wrestling WWE guys,
Yeah.
It's just, I'm in a really good spot. The last couple of years, you've helped me out a lot too, but I ran into some issues with my past and going further in this profession, and I was kind of like stuck in a spot. But from what I've gathered and what I've heard from everybody's at the point where they all want me, they're all willing to work with me.
Sure.
And I think they're all big fans of Matt Riddle, and I think it's my time to make the right decision, do it, and let's see what happens.
Nice. I know, Matt, you're a highly intelligent individual, and I'm positive you'll make the right decision for yourself and your family. How is Mom and the three babies?
They're good. Lisa's good.
Yeah.
She's been doing the Olympic lifting and all that. She just can't get enough of working out or something. Me personally, I barely work out. I just wrestle people on the weekend. That's all I do.
Right.
The kids are fantastic. The girls are 8. They're going into, I believe, 3rd grade next year. Son starts kindergarten next year. And they're enjoying summer break. And that's about it. I've been trying to take them on vacation, but it's hard to get everybody with me and do everything and travel. And you know how it can be.
Yeah, well, didn't you just have, finally a weekend off last week? Did I see that?
Not this weekend, but not this past weekend, but the weekend before that. Yes, a couple shows canceled, and just things worked out where I literally had almost a whole week off, and it was awesome. I just got to hang out with the kids, and it was amazing. It was good. I don't get that much time with them, and the kids, they love to hang out with me. We hang out, play video games. We go to the trampoline park. We do we do stuff I like to do and they like to do, and we just have a blast.
Yeah. Well, that's why when I saw that, it stuck out in my head, and I just remember being happy for you, being able to spend some quality time like that. So, hey,
thanks,
Matt.
I appreciate it, dude.
Hey, Matt, so, just, speculation here. Just say you ended up in NXT. Who are the guys that you see yourself having some solid, stuff with,
Well, there's a lot. Most of the NFC roster I've had, I've been in the ring with. I had one match with Roderick Strong, which was great, and I would love to do something like that again. Yeah. I've wrestled Kyle O'Reilly all around the world, from Ireland to the U.S. to everywhere. I would love to do that again. Adam Cole, the same. Aleister Black, or is that his name, Aleister Black?
Yeah,
I know he's Tommy End on the Indies, but I wrestled him only once, and we didn't call anything, and it was one of my favorite matches I've had, and I would like to do that again. Tommaso Ciampa, the list goes on. Ricochet. There's plenty of talent and fish in that pool for me to play with. Yeah. I think it's just endless possibilities for great matches.
And what's great, Matt, and it didn't seem great at the time, was when because you went down the Performance Center a few years back.
Yep.
And obviously You didn't stay at that point, and you know you can easily take that and be disappointed, and you know let it like take the wind out of your sails, and really. What that did was it did you a huge favor, man. Like, so you were able to go out and develop your style, develop your persona, like dial that all in, man. And I don't know if you'd have been able to do that.
I'll be honest. I don't think I would have been able to do it because I use this example, MMA. A lot of people, like take CM Punk for example.
Yeah.
He started training MMA. Did he start at like a local jiu-jitsu gym? No. He went to Duke Rufus. He went to one of the biggest camps in the world with some of the toughest people. And I'll tell you this, that's probably the worst thing he could have done.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of killers there that want to beat you up. They don't go 5 miles per hour. They already know all the moves, and they're going to put the beats on you because that's what you do in fight. Well, I personally think he probably should have got a couple personal trainers, like a personal like jiu-jitsu instructor, a personal Muay Thai instructor, got his hands, his feet, everything educated, his jiu-jitsu educated, and then you start, maybe roll with a couple white belts, some blue belts that aren't at the highest level school in your area, and then eventually you make your way to the killers, and then you can be a killer yourself. But I think he just hopped in way too quick, and I think a lot of people at the Performance Center hop in a little ahead of schedule too soon before they know who they are, especially with like the models and the other athletes, and they kind of get lost in translation, lost in the mix, And I think, like you said, I remember when Canyon called me and told me he was going to take a pass on me. He's like, sorry, man, I know we strung you around for like 6 months, but we're going to have to pass on you. And I was like, cool. No problem, bro. And he was like, and you could tell he was taken back, like, are you mad? I'm like, no, not at all. Now, in the back of my mind, I wasn't mad, but I was like, I'm going to make you regret that decision. And I think it only took me about 3 years. It only took me about 3 years. I think I've made everybody regret ever saying no to me.
Yeah, hell yeah. You guys want in on this?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
well, Matt, Go ahead. Matt, so, you mentioned how, what you thought CM Punk should have done instead, but vice versa, for you, before you transitioned into wrestling, did you study any MMA fighters turned wrestlers, their careers before you developed your style in wrestling?
Well, I don't think I ever took anything like that. I wouldn't look at a wrestler and think, I'm going to start doing that or anything like that. I think I always watched wrestling, and I was always a fan of what I consider sport wrestling.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean MMA wrestling. That doesn't mean amateur wrestling and wrestling. It means competitive professional wrestling, where you got two guys, if they're running ropes, they might be running ropes, but they're running them so hard it literally looks like it's about to be a car accident,
Yeah.
There's commitment in real sport wrestling, and that's what I watch. And granted, it's like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle. I liked watching the guys that pushed the pace, and it was almost like, even if they're doing spots or whatever, it was so intense, it was real. Because it is real. And I'll be honest, my wrestling is real. I kick and slap and punch and slam people, and it's all real.
Yeah.
I don't knock people out, but it's real.
Yeah.
Well, you just mentioned a few minutes ago about, transitioning and how you were better off doing your own thing for the last couple of years. What's the one or two things that stand out in your brain the most from, say you would have got signed a couple of years ago to where you went on your own, you went all over the world, different continents. What are the one or two things that stand out the most that you're glad you learned now, as opposed to, what you may not have learned by going to WWE a couple of years ago, perhaps?
I think the biggest thing is, working the harder crowds. WWE crowd is a more generic, bigger crowd. It's a wider audience. It's a bigger product. It's everywhere. Well, when you wrestle in the indies, especially a PWG or even Progress, or or you're wrestling guys from New Japan and Ireland or whatever, you're held at a higher standard, and you have to wrestle a lot more competitively and better. You're not going to get away with a couple things. Like, you have to be one of the best wrestlers in the world to get booked all around the world at an indie level, because it costs too much money just to book random people. So
Right on.
And the big thing was for me is like getting that and getting the rub from legends, like wrestling guys like Shibata and wrestling Ishii, and getting the mix with the New Japan, and then wrestling guys like Hero and Thatcher and other, I just kept getting great matches and matchups, and I kept impressing the indie audience, which is one of the hardest audiences to impress, because they watch everything.
For sure. Hey, Matt.
I always hear this. People are like, oh, man, I hate wrestling in front of smarts. And I'll tell you this, my favorite crowd are smart fans, smart marks.
Yeah.
They're my favorite because they know everything I do is real, and they love it, and they back me up, and they'll boo the corny stuff, but they never boo me.
Well, the smart fan now is usually a little different than what you would think of a smart fan a few years back that would just go and like chant things and disrupt shows and you effed up chants and things like that. And now they're like in on it with us.
Yes,
they're part of the show.
It's a much better place, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I wanted to know, recently you wrestled Marty Scurll at PWG, and you had a fantastic match. You talked a lot about not calling things in the back and just calling it in the ring. Was that entire match called in the ring?
Me and Marty have we have pretty good chemistry, and Marty is such a character. You really don't need too much of a match you don't have to call too much. You can just have moments. So like say with someone like Marty, I won't necessarily like write out the whole match or all the spots, but we give each other ideas. So it's like, oh, well, if you slap me here, I'll probably grab this and kick you there, Or, oh, if you throw a clothesline after hitting the ropes, I'll know to kick it and then hit you with this. So it's in a certain order. It's not guaranteed we're going to do everything we suggested, but I like to do that with like people like that, with especially like say it's Adam Cole or a Marty Scurll, where it's you're a great wrestler, but there's a lot of character in there too, and I don't want you to neglect your character just so we can get to the next spot. You know what I'm saying?
Whose idea was the toe break?
The toe. Well, come on, I would say we both had wanted to do that. I'll be honest. Anytime I wrestle anybody that bites or breaks fingers or anything, I know they're gonna want to do the toe. So I would say Marty said he wanted to, but I knew it was coming. How could he not do it?
What about Zack Sabre Jr.? How was that, your feud with him?
Me and Zach barely call anything. The only thing we do is we just tell each other we got to do more when we keep wrestling, because we've wrestled each other enough times around the world where we have to keep up in the ante, So it was only like me and Zach, just like Drew Gulak, like they're so good and technical, and they can handle themselves. They don't panic or anything, where I usually don't call anything but the finish with those guys, or maybe even the finish stretch. Like, oh, I'll hit this. You'll know this is going to be close to the end, and then we'll scramble into this, whatever the finish may be.
So, but you've been doing some tag stuff, too, over the last couple of years. It was Jeff Cobb you were teaming with.
Yeah.
And so how's that different? Like, I mean, it's harder to go out there and just work without a net and tag matches.
Yeah, I think it helps with style too.
Yeah.
Like if I was more of a luchador kind of guy and I needed you to be in a certain spot at a certain time to catch me or this and that, I'd probably have to talk a little more. But because even Jeff Cobb, he's an Olympic wrestler. I'm a state national champion wrestler, world champion jiu-jitsu, and fought in the UFC. So it's I'm very confident when I get into a ring when it comes to grappling or handling myself, and so is Jeff. Usually, if we call anything, it's mostly our partners or our opponents that want to call stuff. Me and Jeff are more like, oh yeah, maybe you duck a kick and then I'll grab you here and I'll suplex you around. I try to keep it as simple as possible, because to me, it's a fight. We're fighting. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to pin you. I'm trying to knock you out. I'm trying to submit you. And granted, we want to do cool moves too, but at the same time, it's I don't want to defeat the purpose. The main purpose of this match is to win, to beat you up and to defeat you. So I don't want to like you said. Why would I pick somebody up on the top rope? Why don't I just stomp them into the ground, and then let them jump up to the top rope if they choose to, and then cut them off and do whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with that. Even a tag match, I won't call double team spots. I'll just kick somebody into a corner, tag Jeff, and be like, stay, and then I'll just run our stuff on them,
Yeah, and you guys have some stuff you're used to doing together.
Oh yeah, we of course the finisher is we do a crazy, does a reverse razor's edge, so he throws guys out forward, and then I knee him in the face as they come down to the ground. So, we tell people we're going to do that to them, and they should probably protect their face. Yeah. But, other than that, we really, most of the moves are pretty self-explanatory, and it's yeah, man, I'll hit you, and then I'll pull you out of the corner. Jeff will pick you up, slam you, and then I'll jump on you and then pin you.
You ever get... Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you didn't. No, go ahead.
You ever get like you show up and the guys you're supposed to be working with they seem pretty intimidating, scared to get in there with you?
Dude, there was the one that sticks out to me the most, and he was terrified. Like, he was like, "You're so good though," and this and that. And I'm like, "Bro, relax. It's like a 5-minute match, and we're gonna kill it. It's gonna be easy." And this person was James Ellsworth. He was terrified. I don't know because I'll be honest, I had a lot of people telling me just to kick the shit out of him. They're like, "Yo, get in there and beat the hell out of him." And I'm like, I'm not that kind of person. Like, and James Ellsworth can't really defend himself against me. Like, I don't want to just beat up a victim. Like, that's not. I don't like that.
Yeah, no,
but
that's nothing cool
but when
about
we were
that.
talking about the match, and he was like, he was just shaking and nervous for it. I don't know if he thought I was gonna turn it up on him or what. But and it ended up being a good match. I said the one thing which I thought was funny. We match up, and I go, "Okay, I got an idea for a spot where I go to knee you in the face, and you have no chin, so I don't knee you in the face, right?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he goes, I don't know if the people will like that. And I go, "James, all these people paid money to see a UFC fighter miss your fucking chin. I have to miss your chin. If I don't miss your chin, these people are going to be disappointed. That's why they showed up for this match. I had to miss your chin. If I don't miss your chin, there's no point for us to be in the ring together."
No shit.
And then he's like, "Okay," and we did it. And of course, it was the biggest pop of the match. We literally just stood there for a minute looking at each other while the crowd chanted he had no chin.
What did he say to you afterwards?
He thanked me for the match. He said it was a great experience. Thank you for not killing me. And, "Hey, are you available for this booking? I run a promotion where I live, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh, just hit me up."
Oh, yeah.
It never happened. I was already booked. I didn't do his promotion. But, yeah, he seems like a nice guy. I think he's back in the WWE now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought him back.
Yeah. So he got the rub from the bro, and he's back.
Well, I'm glad we're talking about the realism and the psychological way you look at matches is so refreshing. You look at it's the art of sport wrestling, and clearly you're a perfectionist. Everyone can see that when they look at you in the ring. But being a perfectionist, there has to be maybe one thing that you still want to improve upon. Is there anything that pops to mind?
I wouldn't say it's one thing. It would be everything. I think I do a great job. I think my facials are good. My expressions are good. I think I have a great energy. I think I go from, like, super happy and nice and knuckle-bumping fans to stomping a dude's face and screaming and drooling and snarling.
Yeah.
I think I'm really good at that kind of stuff. I play to my strengths. When I do seminars or anything, I always tell people to play to their strengths, and that's what I do. I'll tell you this, what I really need to work on is professional wrestling.
Wow.
If you saw my clothesline is not NXT worthy or New Japan worthy, but my MMA is. My wrestling style that I show to the world that I'm the best at is. But I'll say this, like, I'm not doing the greatest crossbody off the top, but, I'm not a tackle drop down leapfrog machine. I can do the stuff, but it's not perfect. It's not as pretty as a Ricochet or a Will Ospreay, the best in the world that do it already. So I would say I have to work out my pro wrestling, and, I've only worked indie crowds. Hopefully one day I get to work with bigger crowds, and I know that's going to be a challenge. I need to learn how to work on TV, and I need to learn stuff like that. The hard cam at an indie show is just a camcorder in the crowd, and I can work that pretty good.
Yeah. Hey, so,
but I think things are different at a higher level.
Do you think, okay, just say you show up in WWE, NXT, or whatever, your particular style, do you feel like you'll have to adjust it a little bit for, like, from going from the intimate crowds to the 20,000 seaters?
I don't think I'll have to change it too much. The one big thing I worry about would probably be like the chain wrestling at the beginning, because I don't do a bunch of flippy divey stuff. It's more shoot holds. I think it'll translate great on TV. In person, it might not translate as well, but at the same time, I do still have exciting jiu-jitsu holds. I can still, like, hop on people's back with chokes and flying arm bars and triangles and stuff like that, And I can still do all these submissions while standing, So, I mean, I can still keep it like, you know, pretty exciting with that. But I think they're going to have to be, like I said, I'm going to have to pick up a couple more probably pro wrestling tricks to throw them in there with the MMA, especially if I go to a bigger, you know, show like WWE that has a certain style. I really don't want to bump and feed anybody 3 times. I really don't want to clothesline somebody or hit somebody 3 times and then slam them, because I think that's stupid.
It's terrible.
And I don't want anybody to do it to me, because I don't want to bump 3 times in a row for no reason.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'll let you hit me twice and bump on the 3rd one. That sounds pretty cool.
Hey, Matt, does ring size, does size matter to you as far as rings go?
I personally I prefer bigger rings, more mat space, more room because I like the bigger ring because I can generate more speed and velocity when I do attack people, and I want to attack people. In a shorter ring, sometimes things get crowded, and with crowding, you know, it gets a little messy.
But you've had to go, like, I know, since, you know, you've done quite a bit of stuff in the UK, and, like, you know, so, I mean, the ring sizes vary over there, but they can be pretty small, so...
Yeah, I mean, I've wrestled in so many tiny rings. I've wrestled in rings that have no padding; they're just wood. I mean, I'm surprisingly, I've done a lot in the short amount of time. But you know, you work around that stuff. Like for me, like one of the first things in wrestling that was super important was ring positioning.
Yeah.
Because you have to have ring positioning for it. I don't care how cool your moves look or anything. If you do it in a corner, nobody sees it. Nobody cares. You have to have ring position. If you can run all the spots, but if you don't know where to start the spot, so you don't end up in the ropes, who cares? So like you can even watch, like if you watch some of my matches, you'll see when I'm about to do a certain spot and we're about to dip, dive, and leap and roll. I'll move to a certain area, so by the time we're done, we're in the center of the ring and we finish right there.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, I guess my last question to you would be, are you surprised at all the great things that people have been saying about you and your wrestling career?
You know, I don't know. Like, I'm really happy. Sometimes I'm taken by it, and like, you know, I'll be honest, I'll start tearing up, and I'm like, I can't believe anybody thinks I'm that good at anything. You know, it makes me really happy because I've worked really hard, and I've been, you know, growing up as a kid, you always want this stuff, and you just never know. You work hard, and you keep your fingers crossed. And then when you get opportunities and then they get taken away from you, like I'm supposed to be in New Japan last November for the Tag League, and then they swiped that underneath me. And then like WWE had that tryout and everything was good, the background check, and like, oh, it might be an issue. I waited months and then that was taken. And it's like, so, you know, and it's just like UFC, like 4-fight win streak, I'm doing pretty good. You failed a drug test, you're fired, bro. Right. And I'm like, oh no, I got to tell my wife this. So it's like, I'm extremely happy. I love the fans of professional wrestling. Like, honestly, my life has never been better. I've never been happier. Things are moving smoother than ever. I've never been this busy. I literally travel the world nonstop. And like I said, I'm extremely happy. And I can't, like, in MMA, I don't even think if I was an undefeated champion, I would get the love and respect that I do in professional wrestling from the fans and the people I work with. Yeah. It's an awesome place, and I think it's an awesome time to be in this business.
It is, man. It is. It's a great time. And Matt,
it really is. I'm so happy.
And man, I've known you. I don't know how long you had been going. You know, had been going to wrestling camp when I first met you, but I've known you since pretty early on, man. And
you've known me literally from like the first couple of months I started training. You knew me when I still had short hair.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
And
I've been growing the stallion hair out for a minute now, bro. You knew me when I had nothing.
Well, when I first met you, you had this beard going, and your hair was a little longer, and then I come and then it was short.
No way, a beard? You're thinking I can't grow any facial hair, bro. I got I can grow hair on my Adam's apple.
That might have been Billy. I was mistaking you for Billy.
Yeah, you were thinking Billy's facial hair. Anyway. My head.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is, man, I've seen the things you've dealt with and like the work you've put in and staying the course and all that. And man, it's so cool to see you in the position you're in now, man. And I'm so happy for you. And I'm really grateful you took a couple of minutes more than a couple of minutes now to come on the show today. Thanks, man.
No worries. I want to bring up one thing.
Please.
Billy's in the room. You do know you officiated my first ever loss in professional wrestling.
Oh, yeah. I did.
I tapped out to Billy Damiano while you were the special guest referee in a submission match, and Billy tapped me out with a sharpshooter.
That was BS, man.
That was BS, man.
Hey, that was hard work. Hey, that was hard work. It was hot in there, and you know, man, you guys had to work extra hard
super
because
hot. It's hot in there. The asbestos ceiling.
Yeah.
That place is. It's a brutal place to just train and wrestle.
And what made it even harder for you guys was the stipulation of it that it had to be a submission match. And so you couldn't do false finishes. It was really tough, and you guys busted your ass.
Dude, I think it was my second match ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was damn good.
Second or third.
I blame the referee.
Anyways.
Oh!
Yeah, no shit. But, hey, so Matt, anything that you want to plug before we let you go?
Hey, I don't think you guys for having me on the show, of course, Sean. It's always a pleasure to talk to you on the record, off the record, on radio, off radio. I love it. I enjoy my time with you. Twitter, you can find me at Super King of Bros. Instagram, Riddle Bro. Facebook, Matthew Riddle. I'm the dude with belts that looks good without my shirt.
Hell yeah.
That's me.
Hell yeah. Super King of Bros, Matt Riddle, the top free agent in wrestling today, everyone. Make some noise.
Yeah. Thank you so
you,
much
man.
for your
Thank you, guys.
time, man.
Have an
I really
awesome day,
appreciate it.
man.
You too, bro. Thanks for having
All
me.
right. All right, everyone. Well,
Wow.
Well, before we get out of
Yeah.
here, if you want to find us on social media, Sean is at The Real X-Pac on Twitter. Use the hashtag XPac12360 anytime you want to talk about the show. Sean has some upcoming dates this weekend. He'll be at the Fortune Bay Casino in Tower, Minnesota. There's an NWO reunion with Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Eazy-E, Eric Bischoff, Heavy on Wrestling. He'll be tagging with Eric Cannon. Check out heavyonwrestling.com for more information about that. In August, on Saturday, August 25th, Pro Wrestling Tees has a meet and greet. Fan Appreciation, Customer Appreciation Day. Sean will be giving, no?
I'll be at Pro Wrestling Tees August 25th.
Pro
Let's
Wrestling
just
Tees
leave it
August
at
5th,
that.
and we have the first ever X-Pac 12360 live podcast at the Bootleg Theater in downtown LA on August 29th.
Yeah.
More information to come about that.
Yeah, is there any info for tickets yet for that?
Not yet. Just
Okay.
check out the Bootleg Theater. I'll be there tomorrow for bar wrestling, and I'll find out more information for next week.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Well, Denise?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at _Denise Salcedo. Make sure to head over to my YouTube channel. Just type in youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. On there, you guys can see some interviews that I did with Charlotte Flair, Stephanie McMahon, and a few other super cool ones, including Daniel Cormier. So make sure to go over there and check those out because there's lots of cool stuff.
All right.
Very good. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood television taping this Sunday, July 29th. Blackcraft Wrestling's first ever pay-per-view Friday, August 24th. I'll be lead commentator. Go to blackcraftwrestling.com, buy the pay-per-view. And August 16th, I'll be home in Philly for one night for a comedy show. If you want to come see me, at Jay Quasto on social media.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. And thanks again to Matt Riddle for joining us today. And we'll see you here. We'll see you right here. Something like that, right? We'll see you right here next week on X-Pac 12360, Westwood One, AfterBuzz TV, Jericho Network. Boom.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark B. Donica, Jimbo Frank, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter at @TheRealXpac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.